But first, and back to the biggest story of our times, the growing threat of the Chinese dictatorship. And don't be fooled here, China isn't just the threat because it might one day drop bombs or missiles on the United States or us. In fact, this war has already started and is fought now with software and with money. And the worst thing, businesses in particular, but also our universities, are already surrendering. And worse still, our universities, like the Australian National University, are cooperating in creating the weapons that could easily be used against us, as they're now being used in China against 1.5 million Uyghur Muslims. The ABC last night gave examples.
We found 30 collaborations between ANU and Chinese defence universities, papers on aerial robots and drones, and research that could be used to help stealth fighters hide themselves while communicating with military bases.
There's been a lot of concerning activity at the University of Queensland. So one example is that a scientist at UQ, Professor Shenheng Tao, set up a company in China called Koala AI that was commercializing his research and applying it towards monitoring people in the region of Xinjiang.
Professor Shen has received $2.6 million in grants from the Australian Research Council.
So let's get that right. Australian taxpayers are actually donating $2.6 million to this just one of these projects to help the world's most menacing dictatorship develop technology to control people. I mean, you've got to ask, do we have a death wish? Yet, even now, we get politicians who seem stunningly blind to this danger. Take Labor Senator Kim Carr, a former minister from Labor's socialist left. He today attacked so-called xenophobes and Cold War warriors, saying the notion that we should fear research collaboration with China and that reputable scientists in Australia's universities are at least dupes, if not actively disloyal, is relentlessly put forward. But there is more than one state with the technological capacity to threaten Australia's cybersecurity. Russia and the United States could also do so. Now, Kim Carr, I mean, here's a Labor faction heavy, semi-retired as a faction heavy, seriously suggesting that democratic America is just as threatening to us as communist China. I mean, what planet is this guy on? And Carr ended his piece with this warning that even the Cold War warriors can't dispute that we need China's cash. And China's cash, that, folks, is the bottom line here. Forget your freedom, think of the cash. Think of China's huge financial power that comes from having 1.4 billion consumers, and all of them under the regime's tight control. And that's, of course, why our universities are selling us out. They need all those Chinese students for a start. And it's particularly why business is selling us out. They're selling out freedom, selling out free speech, selling out the pro-democracy protesters in Hong Kong, selling out Taiwan, which is a democratic island that China pretends it actually owns and says we'll take back. Right, now let me show you, sit back here and be frightened, a frightening montage that shows Western businesses, including some of the very biggest in the world, giving in to China. And let's start with some of the fallout after the coach of America's Houston Rockets NBA team this month tweeted support of democracy in Hong Kong.
The Houston Rockets sneakers, apparel, and other items are being pulled from several Nike stores in major Chinese cities.
After a warning from China, Qantas Airways has updated its website references to Taiwan and Hong Kong. The Australian airline removed instances in which they referred to as independent nations instead of as Chinese territories.
The way they refer to Taiwanese airports. That was in response to Beijing.
German carmaker Daimler has issued a statement of apology after quoting the Dalai Lama in one of its social media posts. In a written letter to the Chinese ambassador to Germany, Shi Mengde, Daimler said the company had no intention of questioning or challenging China's sovereignty and territorial integrity.
The nation suspended Marriott's international Chinese website. A customer questionnaire on the site counted Tibet, Taiwan, and more as countries separate from China. Similar apologies to Qantas's have been made by Zara, Delta, and Medtronic.
Nike bowing to pressure from Beijing, pulling a sneaker from the Chinese market.
Apple took the Taiwan emoji off its keyboard if you are in Hong Kong or Macau.
Activision Blizzard. It has suspended a gamer and taken his prize money away because he made comments supporting Hong Kong protesters.
Donatella Versace also said she was sorry after her firm was bashed on social media for T-shirts depicting Hong Kong and Macau as countries.
The Gap apologized for selling T-shirts emblazoned with a map of China, not including Taiwan, South Tibet, or the South China Sea.
South China Sea is what China's actually stolen, and most of our seaborne trade seems to go through that. And I could go on with other examples. In fact, just overnight, even one of the world's biggest and richest sports stars, NBA superstar LeBron James. Now, here's a man, an activist who feels perfectly free to call his own elected president, Donald Trump, a bum. But he's now attacked the Houston Rockets manager for making China angry by tweeting praise of Hong Kong protesters.
I don't want to get into a word or sentence feud with Daryl Morey, but I believe he wasn't educated on the situation at hand, and he spoke.
Well, let me educate you on LeBron James. This is a man with a lifetime sponsorship deal with Nike that is said to be worth $1 billion a year. And where does Nike do some $9 million a year of business? In China. Chinese money. It sure talks. And in the West, when China's money talks, businesses and universities, they go silent.